Tide fans. Welcome to Tide Talk. Happy New Year to you. Got my two co-hosts with me, Maurice down in Panama City, Jimmy right here in the studio. I'm your host, Sean Taylor. We're excited to come and talk about a bowl game win against Kansas State. We anticipated, and look, I'm not one to pat myself on the back, but I did remind you guys that I did pick the exact score, 45-20.
I didn't go back and look at it, so I'm not sure.
I don't remember that. And
Yeah.
yes, you are the type to pat yourself on the back.
Of course you don't remember it, and of course you'll say that. But no, it was a good win. I think we were all a little nervous in the first quarter, but that kind of wore off. We got to see some guys that are probably played that did play their last game. Young, Anderson and Branch, and now of course we just looked that Ricks is leaving and Jahmyr Gibbs, and so I'm sure there'll be more to follow. But it's an exciting time. We just heard that Golden. We just heard that Golden may be leaving. Yeah. Maurice, I don't know what your thoughts are about that, but I do recall over the past couple of years you having some concern about our defensive coordinator.
Hey, look, now let's don't be starting any rumors on this show because we don't know that to be for sure.
That's a rumor.
I've always been supportive of Golden.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, you have.
I've always been supportive of him leaving. So,
right.
Anyway.
But as you said, Maurice, right before the show, do you think that's a push out the door if it's true? If he's going to Ole Miss as the DC, which is a kind of a lateral move, so to speak?
It's very much a push out, and who knows what transpired during the year where he may have had some responsibilities taken away from him, because Saban has done that before. That's how Golden became defense coordinator, if you'll remember, about 4 or 5 years ago. So I think it's you don't leave unless if you leave Alabama, it's because you can't take the pressure, or you're moving up to the next level. You're a position coach, you become a coordinator. If you're moving laterally unless it's to the NFL, then there's no point in it. So that means that it's basically, thanks for everything. See ya.
See ya. Jimmy, what's your take on that?
So we talking about that or the game?
Right now we're talking about that.
I mean,
I started the show with we're talking about.
I want to talk about the game.
We're going to talk about the game.
So yeah, I've been on the bandwagon for Golding, and I've been off the bandwagon for Golding. It's kind of been one of those roller coaster rides. I felt like I was one early on in his career that was going to give him the chance. I felt like year 2, 3, we saw a little bit of change, and then it just kind of regressed, and we started going backwards. So, yeah, for me, I think he needs to be gone. And it's crazy because, I as much as anybody on this show, I keep up with all this mess and follow it almost 24/7, and I have not seen anything that said he was leaving. I've been seeing all the stuff about O'Brien leaving. So for this to pop up today, it's just kind of come out of nowhere. But yes, he needs to move on. Maybe he needs to change the scenery. Maybe he needs to be under a different style or different, manager as far as, head coach is concerned with Kiffin. I wish him luck. Obviously I don't wish no bad feelings on the guy. He did what I guess up to his capability, he did the best job he could do for us. And so, but yeah, it's not going to hurt my feelings if that rumor is true.
Well, it'll be interesting to confirm if it's true or not over the next, I guess, few days, weeks, maybe. So let's get into the game.
Okay.
Started out kind of slow. A little disappointed in that. I think I was texting you guys about the whole, I think Bryce was 1 for 4 at the beginning of the game, but I think a lot of that was miscommunication. And I kept saying, man, 13 games in, you just shouldn't have that. And of course that turned around, fortunately, but look, we were able to see what we had kind of been looking for. I didn't hate on O'Brien as much after the first quarter. Maurice, look, I still will tell you that watching that game, even when we were producing now, this is so not just when he was 1 for 4 and we're down 10-0 in the first quarter. I still, in watching that game, man, I hope we have a position coach change, because our wide receivers just don't appear to work to get open, or either the routes they are running are not effective. I mean, I watch trust me, I've watched a lot of football since I've been kind of down, if you will. And I see everybody getting open except for us. I see us having to work hard, or Bryce having to extend to be able to get somebody open or something. So, Maurice, we've been talking about that all year basically, and hopefully we'll see some different, maybe different schemes or routes or something in that area. A lot's going to be, coming with who's going to be the quarterback, but we got a good group of receivers coming in. Looks like Burton's going to stay. So there's an anticipation of some success in the passing game for next year. Maurice, do you agree with that?
Oh, I'm very excited from what I saw New Year's Eve as far as the receivers go. And I know Saban likes Brooks, and I don't mean to discredit him because he basically got us the Auburn win year before. But he was the one that I saw on one play where he went and sat, and then he was open. Well, you're not going to stay open forever, especially when you're sitting. Meaning you go to that one spot and you're open. And he knew the guy was on him, and he stood there. You think Bryce is going to throw it to you? Not to mention, Bryce is really so good that we don't acknowledge or recognize the fact that a lot of the times when he's buying time, he's basically telling them where to go, and they should already be doing that.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers me.
Yeah.
You find a spot to get open, and if it's not there, find the next spot, because there is a place that's going to be open, but you've got to work to get there, which drives me crazy because you go to any 7-on-7 camp this summer and you'll see high school receivers doing that. And I'm like, where did this come from? So that's what I get irritated about.
Yeah. Jimmy?
So, I know we're kind of getting on the receiving group, but, Bryce did have 5 touchdown passes in the game. I mean, the guys did eventually get open one way or the other, where it was Bryce buying time or whatever. But I just want to say that, I mean, dare I say, though, regardless of the receivers, dare I say that this game was about as complete of a game that we've seen all year long. Very much. It's kind of aggravating at this point to think that that's what it should have been all year.
Yeah.
Obviously I wanted us to win. I didn't want us to lose the game. But a part of me was like, I hope we struggle, because if we beat them and beat them bad, I'm going to be ticked off, hoping or thinking that, where was that all year?
I actually read an article that it said exactly that.
I mean, golly, I was like, really? You wait till the last year to play your best game or call your best game? I mean, defensively, we were getting after it. I know I don't really count that garbage touchdown at the end of the game. I think both sides of the ball, was about as good as we've seen it for the most part. Again, minus the first few minutes of the game. So I was very pleased with the game. I'm still not worried about the receivers. The talent's there. I was.
I read an article that said exactly that. I think it was by Skarbinski that basically said, Bama fans are probably more mad and upset at this point after watching basically the destruction of Kansas State and how we handled them both offensively and defensively. And there could be some truth to that, because we're all saying, man, where was that all year long? So good game, good win. Look, record 15 years in a row with 10-plus wins. Nobody in the country has done that, no other program. So got more to talk about. Maurice, we're going to take a quick break. Hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Now that the holidays have left its cheer, you have great new toys and gear that need faster speeds to run. From tablets to your morning brew, your bandwidth needs keep growing. An upgrade to the latest speeds keep your precious Wi-Fi flowing. With lots of new gadgets around the house, it's time to step up to Beam's faster internet and smart Wi-Fi. Start the new year with an upgrade to your internet. Call Beam today and get the speed you need. Beam, bringing East Alabama more.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. Second segment of Tide Talk. Listen, yes, probably one of the most complete games that we've played. probably started off a little slow early just because we not played a football game in 3.5 weeks. And that's kind of my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's exciting to consider what's to come. A lot of things are going to happen. People leaving, of course, the transfer portal. So we've already picked up a big tight end, I believe, that it's supposed to be really, really good. But I think the foundation of the program is still intact. I think the guys, Young, Anderson, coming back and playing in that bowl game kind of is a testament to that. But I'm excited to see some of these younger guys. Man, you look at Lawson, the linebacker. That joker was all over the place early on. And look at Oates or Otis, the D lineman, young guy.
Kool-Aid.
Look at Kool-Aid, who's, returning. You got Terrion Arnold, who's probably going to be the starting cornerback unless one of the new guys are challenging. Malachi Moore's coming back, and going to play probably a safety position. So, man, I'm pretty excited to see, how we progress, and are we going to push and challenge to get back into playoff? Again, I think we will, but of course that remains to be seen. But watching that game Saturday, the offensive line, I was very impressed with kind of how we handled running the football, pass blocking, pass protection. I think they took it on them. I read a couple of articles about how they took some of the things that the Kansas State players said to heart. No heart, a lot of talent, but no heart, and that sort of thing. Maurice, did you think that we played with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder this past Saturday, or was it just the fact that we were more talented than Kansas State, or both?
As I posted my Saturday morning predictions, and I want to thank y'all for reading them and always, acknowledging them on the show.
That's right.
No, I said that there was too much talent on this team versus Kansas State. No disrespect to them, but I mean, this is a very, very much a loaded team. What I saw was a team, other than being physically more dominant, was a focus. It just seemed to be, and maybe it's just from the things that we've talked about as far as those that have left needed to be gone. There seemed to be a lot more clarity. Just like I said, a focus. And now I wasn't crazy about this. We're not, we can't run it between the tackles anymore, it seems like. So everything always has to be, spread out. But I thought that, to your point, the offensive line looked really good, looked sharp. They looked like they knew what they were doing, and just seemed to be a lot less drama as I was watching it. Just seemed to be guys out there really playing football and focused on what their assignments were.
Yeah, communication looked good. I don't know. I know we had 5 penalties, but I don't know that we had like false starts and that sort of thing. I mean, we played a pretty clean game.
Like we said in the first segment, this was probably the most complete game we've seen all year round. Again, very few penalties. Did we see Bryce, or did we see the play clock running down, counting down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're trying to get people in place and we're snapping it right at 0? I don't think that happened at all. So again, the communication was better. I mean, again, it's overall the entire day was just, again, frustrating because we should have been seeing it all year long. But you're talking about, the talent coming back. You started mentioning names a little while ago. Last year we were doing this show, the end of season, and we were talking about really on the defensive side, how the defense was going to be just dominant. Yeah. All these players coming back. We were super excited. Obviously, we're losing a lot of that on the defensive side. Not so much on the offensive side, except the number one position on that side, of course, at quarterback. Man, the talent's there. The defense should be as good, if not better. The offense should be, if we get the right quarterback and the right, coordinator in there. But man, the talent's there. I'm super excited again about next year, and and I know we'll still probably talk about it again, but man, we'll be right in the thick of it.
Yeah, when you talk about the play of the defense, I mean, man, how good was Brian Branch? I think he ended up with 12 tackles, 4 for a loss, an interception, a pass breakup. I mean, that joker pretty much did everything, and very happy to see the way he played, and of course, setting himself up to be able to leave early. We talk about it all the time. What if? And I know that's if is a difficult thing, but man, what if these guys were to stay? You're talking about juniors leaving, Gibbs, Young, Anderson, Branch. But that's how it is at Alabama. That's kind of the expectation now.
Mm-hmm.
But Maurice, from a defensive perspective, minus that first quarter, I think again, just getting back into a game routine, man, we basically did whatever we wanted to do and what we needed to do from the end of the first quarter until that last kind of mop up scoring drive.
Yeah, I thought the defense. I hate to say this, to Jimmy's point, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But there was really good communication, and you're always worried about that in secondary because you're a lot of times going from nickel to dime, and then as we've seen throughout the year, you'll see them lined up, somebody run out there and they got their hands out like this, and I'm like, now we got somebody that doesn't know what coverage we're in and what the responsibilities are. I thought it was by far, from a secondary standpoint, the best game that they have played all year. It was almost picture perfect, I thought, and considering going against that type of offense. And I mean, Kansas State, I mean, they've had some injuries that their starting quarterback Martinez, the kid from Nebraska, he's been hurt.
Yeah.
He may have made a difference because he is extremely athletic and fast. But I mean, I just thought it was a really good linebackers really didn't wow me, but secondary did. So
I thought listen, I thought our linebackers did their job.
I didn't think they did anything wrong. Yeah.
Maybe they didn't wow you, and that's understandable, but I thought they did their job. I mean, I saw several times where, we read quickly that it was a run and we were filling the gaps and in a hurry. And I love seeing that from Lawson, the young kid. I mean, gosh,
awesome.
The sky's the limit for him. He, very well could be the guy calling for us next year.
I think he's the next great one.
Yeah, I mean, that joker was all over the place. He has the physicality, but he's also fast enough to cover sideline to sideline. Of course, Dallas Turner, statistically, from a production perspective, he and Anderson were kind of quiet, but it's what they do being on the field, causing double teams and, freeing other guys to be able to make plays. So, I thought we played really, really well. And from a personnel perspective, it was good to see some of the younger guys get in and do their job.
Well, two things I took away from it on the defensive side. One, the long run they had, where obviously whether there was somebody out of position or not, they had that one long run. After that, I think they got like 30 yards the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to say about the secondary, early on, and even for most part in the first half, man, they were converting third downs. 3rd and 12, they get 13, they get 15. 3rd and 8, they get 9 or 10. And it was all on these little digs and inside. I mean, all these little short passing routes because we were playing so far off. And I was like, and I kept screaming,
why are we not covering them?
Well, what happened?
Right.
We adjusted. We actually adjusted to that.
Yeah.
And then we started breaking up more passes, and they were catching those balls. We were tackling short of the first down.
Yeah.
So we were getting off the field once we made that adjustment. So I was, again, just things that I noticed in the game that was, pleasantly surprised with.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back for segment 3, wrap up this 2022-2023 season and, kind of get us in line for what's going to happen next year. Hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Now that the holidays have left its cheer, you have great new toys and gear that need faster speeds to run. From tablets to your morning brew, your bandwidth needs keep growing. An upgrade to the latest speeds keep your precious Wi-Fi flowing. With lots of new gadgets around the house, it's time to step up to Beam's faster internet and smart Wi-Fi. Start the new year with an upgrade to your internet. Call Beam today and get the speed you need. Beam, bringing East Alabama more.
All right, Tide fans, welcome back. Last segment for this year. Let's kind of talk a little bit about expectations, what we see. Clearly, there's some unknowns with respect to the coaching staff. We did pick up a director of player personnel in Clinton Dix. That was kind of interesting to see, especially after he, I guess, a few days before made his announcement that he was retiring, and then all of a sudden he's with us in New Orleans.
Yeah,
that could be productive. You know, a guy that's probably a little bit younger than some of the others, but has just come out of the NFL, understands the culture at Alabama, understands, you know, what it takes to get to that level. So I'm interested to see some you know, what he's going to do
Right.
and how he's going to help our
you know,
guys.
it may not mean anything or do anything, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's there.
I mean, listen,
Personally.
you're talking about some young 18, 19, 20-year-olds that get to look at a guy they've been watching on television play in the NFL and it came through the program. I mean, Maurice, I mean, you know, I don't know how it was back when you played, but I mean, that's got to mean something to these guys when a former player that makes it to the bigs and has some success now comes back in the program.
Yeah, I mean, when I was there, I mean, I was starstruck by anybody, and that year it was the first time the NFL had a strike, so there was a lot of former players coming back, and sometimes they would address the team afterwards. But to that point, go back to what Bo Scarborough, you know, and Saban had mentioned. Scarborough had said there was comments that Julio Jones had made about this year's team. Several others.
Greg McElroy.
Yes, and I'm glad. It's almost like, hey, we need somebody that was in this era under Saban to come back and say, this is how we do it here. And whatever you're seeking for as far as personal gratification or whatever, you fall in line, and this is how you do it, and this is how you work, and this is how you prepare. So I'm really excited that somebody of Clinton Dix stature is back with us.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry. It's sad that we had to have former players come back in and
motivate
and bring some little attitude to the team late in the game, because we, you know, again, man, this team has so much potential, and that was the one thing that we liked, that attitude for whatever reason. And yes, I'm certainly glad that we have that culture built, or that Saban's built, to bring these guys, you know, the former players back in there, and so
it's going to be needed because Kirby, you know, we may not want to admit it, but Kirby is setting a new kind of bar and standard, because we all know that they're going to win come Monday night. So, you know, he's done an incredible job the past couple of years. So now we've got to step it up a little bit more. And we've definitely got the players. Now we just need the attitude and the coach.
There's a couple of things I want to talk about. One, I heard that Jalen Milroe this past week prior to the game was working out with the receivers some. Did anybody else hear that?
There was one clip that got released where he was in the wide receiver group, basically, and he ran a wide receiver screen.
Can I just say one thing? Well, I'll say a lot of things, but I think O'Brien missed a very golden opportunity. Now, it could have been Saban's call because he was number 2 quarterback, but having Milroe as an X factor, as a slot, a tight end, a back out of the backfield, a wide receiver, if you're a defensive coordinator, that is a headache that you have to spend almost half your time trying to prepare your defense. Where is this guy going to line up? This is what he's going to do, not to mention the other talent that we have on there. And for him to be standing on the sideline, this is always what I have a problem with. Saban talent on the 5 stars on the sideline aren't doing you a bit of good. So you need to do something, get them through the process, or find a spot for them so that they can contribute.
If he truly was the number 2, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you don't want him to get hurt,
right?
But how? With the 3 of us, how many believe he's going to be our starting quarterback next year? I'm not sold yet. Now, listen, maybe that joker's going to work his tail off, in the off season, spend some time with the receivers. We know he's a freak athlete. The build, the speed, we know he's a freak athlete. I'm just not sold that he's going to be taking the snaps next year.
I think we didn't see more of Ty Simpson, but I think the thought going into this season was that he was going to redshirt. Because I think he didn't need that 1 year in the system, and you didn't want to burn that freshman year. I truly believe he will be the quarterback next year, Ty Simpson, that is. But I personally would love to see some type of 2-quarterback system where we have some packages. And I'm not saying, 50-50. I'm just saying run Milroe out there with some packages to throw those defensive coordinators off.
Like the Wildcat. When we're inside the team, we struggled all year.
Anything to make that defensive coordinator have to think about something. And again, I would be okay with him running out there with a package or 2 here or there. But I think that's also going to depend on who our coordinators are going to be.
Right.
So my only concern going into next year, again, who are those coordinators going to be?
Yeah.
I truly feel like O'Brien is going to be gone after today. Maybe Golding's going to be gone. So I think it's going to depend on who that coordinator is going to be. But from a starting quarterback standpoint, I truly believe it'll be Ty Simpson.
Yeah. Well,
unless it's one of the freshmen that's incoming.
Right.
And last time we had that guy's name was Jalen Hurts, who's about to be MVP of the NFL.
Right. So, yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention, man, can't say enough about Georgia. What Kirby Smart's doing over there, man. They're doing everything that we used to do, and obviously he's a product of Saban's system. But man, even if they win it, which we all believe they're going to skull drag TCU, I believe that. I'm not ready to bow to Kirby Smart in Georgia just because they won back-to-back national championships. Not taking any credit away from them, giving them credit. But they would only have won 2 in the past 40 years. The last time someone's won back-to-back was guess who?
Bam.
Us in 11 and 12. And then competed again for it in 13. So
right.
I'm not ready to bow to Georgia to say they're the new dynasty. Man, if they win 6 or 7 in the next 15 years, then we can say they're the new dynasty. But that's only if we don't win any.
Right.
So I don't know how I feel about that.
Let me be clear. I'm not handing over the mantle. And quite frankly, from people that posted on Facebook, as far as Georgia fans, they were more excited about us not getting in than I think them getting in, because they knew facing us is a scary, scary thing. And we were one of the few teams that could beat them. So
yeah, I agree with that. I know we talked about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they're not there. Obviously they have had 2 successful seasons to this point, and you can't take that away from them. But yeah, they're definitely, they got a long way to go if they think the torch has been passed.
Yeah, you just keep hearing all these commentators, Paul Feinbaum and some other guys talk about the new king and blah blah blah. And for the past 2 years, they've been the deal.
The East has been a joke.
Yeah, take that aside. I agree with that. Take that aside. But again, 2 national championships in 40 years doesn't make me want to say yes, they're the greatest team in college football. So I'm just not ready to do that yet. I want to give them credit because Kirby Smart's doing a great job. Man, those jokers lose 15 to the draft, and they're back in the hunt and probably going to win another one. But again, just because you win 2 back to back, you know, the last team to do that was us.
Which they hadn't done yet.
Which they hadn't done yet, but I believe they will. So anyway, guys, 11-2. Most people just absolutely celebrate that. We know how that is. We're glad we won the Sugar Bowl. We glad we win 11-2. But
the top 5 finish, top 3, top 4, whatever it might be.
Disappointing year, either way you look at it for a Bama fan. Looking forward to the next year. Looking forward to the kind of changes that are going to take place, knowing that some are coming. But I've enjoyed it. Maurice, thank you for joining us from Panama City Beach. Jimmy, always thanks for being in here with me. And
thanks for having me.
You know what? We'll do it again next year. Tide fans, if you'll look for us, probably August, September timeframe, we'll kick off the 23 season, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.